Hello, empowered woman. Welcome to this episode of the Empowered Woman podcast. Today is one of those days. I'm recording this to encourage you. Consider this your dose of empowerment, your pick me up in case you had a hard week or a hard day. I'll be sharing 2 ways to overcome those feelings, and it has everything to do with giving yourself permission to be proud of where you are in your life and business, and also creating the habit of not comparing yourself to others. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal growth, visibility, and profit for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to start believing in yourself, giving yourself permission to succeed, and let your voice be heard to make an impact in the world as an entrepreneur, this is the place for you. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Earlier this week, I created a piece of content, and you know how passionate I am about content creation and helping women really get vulnerable, because that's authenticity. That's what builds rapport. That's what people connect with, is when you open up about things, usually the things that you think are silly, that you think nobody will care about, or that you feel insecure about, that you feel people are going to judge you for or think you're less than for. Those are the type of things that you should open up about with your audience, because even though there might be people who will think less of you or who will criticize you, this will also make sure you draw in the people that feel the same way but would never use their voice for it, right? And they see in you this inspiration of someone who is brave to open up. So they admire that. They are inspired by that. So can you think of some things that you are kind of insecure about in your life and business? Think about your target audience. Think about something that would be really, really hard for them to openly post on social media or to even talk to friends and family about. That's the type of stuff that when they hear you talk about, when they see your bravery, they're going to automatically be drawn to you. Have you ever gotten a message when people say, hey, I've been getting emails from a bunch of people, or I've been following lots of people in the same niche as you, but I resonated with you? Have you ever had that happen to you? If you haven't, and if you follow these tips that I'm giving you right now, you will have it happen to you, because this is exactly what helps people connect with you on a deeper level and resonate with you, is when you are open about the things that they are struggling with, that they would not be able to be open about because they would be too scared to talk about it and to admit. That's the point. They would be too scared to admit out loud, let alone post it on social media. And so all of this to say, I shared something that I had shared before, but I really made it a point to stress the fact that I don't have a 6-figure business yet. And it was incredible, the response that I got all across the board. I sent it via email. I posted it on social. I made a live video on it, which is repurposing one-on-one, right? This is what I teach. So quick parenthesis here. If you're struggling with what to talk about, if you think whatever it is you want to say is not post-worthy, if you think, why bother, nobody's even seeing it, if you're frustrated because nobody engages in your stuff and nobody converts into paying clients, then you have to join us in the Empowered Woman School, because this is what I teach. And you have community, you have accountability. As soon as you join in, you'll get access to 2 in-depth courses on personal development and on content creation. Plus you have 3 calls a month to brainstorm, to ask questions, and to connect with other like-minded women. It's the space for growth, okay? Because when you have strategy and when you have accountability in a place to talk about your struggles and ask questions and help others, this is the place to thrive and the place to grow. And I've had so many ladies join this week. I'm so excited for our next call that happens the the first week of the month. So we didn't have a call this week because it's our implementation week. So we meet again March 5th. So there's plenty of time for you to join us and still catch our first call. Just go to marchespark.com. You will find all the information in the school. But anyways, back to the topic here. So this type of content is really empowering, you know? So it's so interesting that when you're vulnerable and you admit these things about yourself, you empower yourself and you empower others. And it's really about giving them permission. So the reason why I'm recording this today, it's all about encouraging you and empowering you. And I want to share these two ways that you can encourage yourself instantly. And you can do it publicly too with your content. So it's like a private journal entry of you admitting these things, you know? So that's why it's super vulnerable. But then what you get in return is people's responses and their warmth, right? Not only in the sense of warmth towards you because they sympathize and they empathize, but also warming them up to want to work with you because they see that you're a human being, that you have feelings and that you care. So what I shared, so this is the first piece of advice that I have for you is getting vulnerable with your content, and a way of doing that, which is a way of overcoming your insecurities and, those feelings that come up. Why am I even doing this? Should I just give up? Should I just go get a job? Or should I just, close up shop? Whatever. Those things that come up every other day. Sometimes, some days, multiple times a day. So it's all about giving permission. So as you are giving them permission, you are actually giving yourself permission too. It's a beautiful thing. So let me get into it. I talked about not having a six-figure business and sharing this because I think I know that when people look at others that are doing well, that are successful, we all assume, okay? And let me know if you don't. Send me a message and connect with me if you think I'm off base here. I would love to have a discussion with you. We all assume that those people don't have hard days, that, everything that they've always done has been a success. But when I released my very first course a couple years ago, only one person enrolled, legit. And then what did I have to do? I called a couple of other friends and I said, would you like to go through this cycle of the course? Some people that I had connected with, because it was a group coaching program, I invited a few other friends with a lower rate to join in so I wouldn't lead the program with only one person. And since then, I have had other offers and experiments that flopped. And I'm telling you this because it's unavoidable to feel like a failure sometimes. Like you should be way farther ahead than you are in your business now. Because there's so many voices all around us saying, ads, the emails that you get, the posts that you see on social, essentially saying that there's something wrong with you if 10K months aren't easy. If they're not a breeze, there's something wrong with you. And you're really bound to feel defeated, like the only entrepreneur on the planet who can't seem to get your business off the ground. Do you ever feel like this? Am I the only one? But I take the stance that the sooner I acknowledge that there is nothing wrong with me and that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be in my journey, the sooner I can get back to focusing on what matters, serving my audience and creating impact. So this is the message here today. And like I always do it, because I'm very meta, I'm telling you this, and I'm also showing you what you can do with your content. What is something that your audience feels very lonely about? That if you tell her, hey, I'm like that too. Hey, I do this too, and it's okay. I struggle with this too, and it's okay. They feel embraced. Because I talk a lot about calling your audience out and, in a way, preaching to them and saying, this is why things are not working out. And it is important because that's when people see you as the expert, right? I've talked about this here on the show several times. But at the same time, everyone wants to be told things are going to be okay and want to be understood and hugged, The infamous husband and wife conundrum. You cry and you tell them what's going on, and they instantly want to give you solutions and tell you that's why, because you didn't do this, X, Y, and Z. And you're like, be quiet. Just hold me. Just listen to me. Right? So there are moments that we do want to know that we're doing something wrong and that, what we could do better. And there are moments that we just want to be held. So consider this type of content a way of you holding your audience, telling them, I struggle with this too. You're not alone. So this is a very helpful piece of content, but like everything that I teach, it's a win-win. It's you opening up to them, which makes you grow. It's them building that rapport with you and not feeling so alone. And in the end, it's building community all over again. So you're helping yourself in more ways than one when you create a piece of content like that. So continuing on here, today I want to give you permission, to give yourself permission to make mistakes. Lots of them. Because isn't that what taking a risk is? Isn't that what you did when you first started your business? You took a risk. And you probably made some mistakes in the beginning. And we will continue to make mistakes. That is part of the game. That is part of the game. Because that's when you know what you don't want to do, is when you do something and you realize, wow, this is not going to work out. Moving on. Oh, and the other day I saw a post that I really resonated with. It was actually Gabby Abrams. I've had her here on the show. If you haven't listened to our interview, go back because she's amazing. And she said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't need to perfect something to move on to something else. Because we get afraid, man, does this mean that I'm a failure if I'm jumping onto something else? And I mean, there are situations and situations. Maybe you are being too hasty. That's, not for me to say. It's for you to know and check in with yourself and check in, with your mentor. And if you don't have a mentor, what are you even waiting for? Join us in the Empowered Women School. But anyways, and there are times when we beat ourselves up and it's like, no, I have to see this through. But if it clearly isn't what you want to do, if it clearly is not working out, it's not a matter of just sticking with it, then give yourself permission to count that as a mistake and move on. Okay? Something else I want to give you permission to give yourself permission to do is to be yourself. Is to understand that there's a place for you in the world. Oh my gosh, yesterday I had a speaking engagement for this group called Mile High Young Professionals. So it's a group here in Denver focusing on professionals, obviously. And I spoke about the Enneagram. And just this message has been coming up for me. This is what this week has been all about, is there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. Oh, and it was so amazing to see those faces, on Zoom. Everyone really, it felt like they were feeling hugged. They were feeling better about themselves because there was somebody up there describing them to a T, because that's what the Enneagram does, and I love it so much. And then telling them, if you've ever wondered, why do I keep doing things this way? Or why do they keep doing things this way? Now you know there's nothing wrong. If there's anything wrong, which I wouldn't call it wrong, it's just that you're not using your personality to your advantage. You're not leveraging your strengths, and that's why they become your weaknesses. But that's a topic for another day. Just be yourself, okay? The world needs you because there's only one of you. So figure the hell out what that is. What makes you different, and embrace it instead of trying to hide it, instead of trying to run from it. Just be who you are. I want to give yourself permission to grow, because if you're not growing, are you even alive? And another parenthesis here, that means you're going to stumble and fall. That is part of growth. And I love the imagery of a little kid, a little toddler learning to walk. My goodness, what do they do repeatedly? They fall. And do they give up? No. Man, it's amazing to see kids, how determined they are. Because that's what we're wired to do, is to just keep going. And I always say that this is the entrepreneur's job, is to encourage yourself to not give up. This is your job as an entrepreneur, right? So keep growing. Hear your inner voice and go for it, because check this out. This is a good one. I was proud of myself for this one. Every big achievement starts within. Ooh, this reminds me of the parable of the mustard seed. Have you ever seen a mustard seed and it grows to be a huge, tall plant? Every dream, every big, amazing accomplishment and achievement starts with just that little thought. Or I should say, every achievement starts with just that dream, right? That vision that you have. You don't know exactly how it's going to pan out. You don't know the details. You just see that vision and you're like, ooh, that's where I want to go. So if you're still in the dream phase, hey, that's amazing. Keep going and you're going to get there. And last but not least, oh, and I got to tell you this. I actually got all of these permission bullet points that I sent out in the email and that I posted and that I'm reading to you right now because I asked my clients. So I went in the Empowered Woman School and I said, hey, I'm writing a piece of content on giving permission. And I would love to know, I have some ideas, but I would love to hear from you. What do you believe I have given you permission to do with my coaching, with my guidance? And many of them responded, and it was just like, oh, a warm hug all over again. So I encourage you to do that. If you can't come up with things that you can give yourself, your audience permission to, you could ask your public audience. They may not answer because at times when you ask people for testimonials, if they're not working with you, they're not very inclined to do it. Ask your clients. And even if that's one client, ask them, what do you believe I've given you permission to? What do you believe I've made you feel okay with being and doing? That I didn't judge you. In fact, I encourage you to embrace that part of you. And one of my amazing clients, Jessica, she said, trust that what you know now is enough to help someone. Isn't that powerful? Because the world needs you the way that you are, what you have right now, somebody really needs. At times, just like what I was saying, you have to perfect something to put it out into the world, the perfectionism syndrome. We usually think, man, I have to get all the certifications, read all of the books, listen to all of the things, and then I can talk about it. Then I can teach someone. That is not true. That is not true. You may not be the absolute expert on it yet, but that doesn't mean you can help someone who's a few steps behind. So trust that what you know now is enough to help someone. Give yourself permission to believe that because it is true. That's what empowers you to put yourself out there and say, hey, does anybody need help with X, Y, and Z? Because if you don't believe that you can help that person, you're not even going to say that. So I'm giving you permission to believe that you are enough, that what you know now is enough to help someone. Embrace your very personal and particular mile marker in this journey called life, and be certain that you will fulfill your calling and purpose because it's all already in your heart, the mustard seed. And remembering this is what will help you keep moving, right? Because we get so caught up. This is what I see. There are those people that have no vision for their future and no ambition. And then there are those of us who are so fixated on fulfilling our potential, it becomes a problem. Have you ever noticed that? That, okay, you're proud of yourself because you are ambitious and you want to get somewhere. But then it gets so overwhelming to the point where you start beating yourself up because you're like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm never going to fulfill my potential. I'm going to, die, end my life, not proud of myself. Stop. Don't get caught up in this. This is exactly what I'm giving you permission to do, is to be proud of where you are and knowing that if you've had that vision, even if it's not come to pass yet, it's in there, which means if you don't give up and if you allow yourself to keep chasing and pursuing this, it will happen. Okay? Embrace where you are in your journey. And also know that no matter how successful you get, you will always have flops and failed experiments because we are all human and everything we put out there is a big old experiment. Just make sure to surround yourself with people who will build you up and have your back because it's not just about finding people with good content. It's about finding your tribe. And I hope that hanging out with me and all the empowered women in our community makes you feel a little more understood, a little more confident, and a little more awesome. Right? Have I encouraged you? Have I empowered you? And that's something else that I posted this week because somebody that's not even a client messaged me yesterday and said, hey, our conversation, we had, a Zoom call, I think last week, just said our conversation sparked something in me and I just created this post and she shared the link with me and said, thank you so much. And I was like, man, I'm touching people that I don't even know. I'm helping people And I don't even know. Even if they're not working with me, if they're not paying me, I am making a difference. And the same goes for you. If you're showing up day in and day out, don't you think it's making a difference? It is. Maybe they're not saying it. And this is why I encourage you to create a piece of content like what I'm describing here. Because those people will come out of the woods and they're going to say, oh, thanks for this. I appreciate you. You know? And that fills you up. That fills your cup. That helps you keep going. So with this, another parenthesis here, let me know what causes you to feel unaccomplished in your business. What challenges you the most? Share with me. And if you already know you want some specific guidance in your business, let's chat. Schedule a session with me, complimentary. We'll just talk for a few minutes. And you can go to marchesburg.com/calendar to find a spot. I'll post a link in the show notes. Because I have so many resources, obviously, to help you with personal growth, visibility, profit. And if I can't, I know a lot of ladies who do amazing things, and odds are we can get you to where you want to go. So come talk to me. So if you're not on social media or whatever it is that's going on, send me a message, email marchesburg@gmail.com, or schedule a time, and I'll post a link in the show notes. So this is the permission piece that I wanted to share with you. Isn't this encouraging? Now go do this exercise, and you're going to see how it makes a difference for you and your audience. And again, stop thinking you're not enough and focus on what matters. Because every time you criticize yourself and you think you're not where you're supposed to be and you're thinking about giving up, somebody out there is missing out on your amazingness. You're doing a disservice to someone out there when you're thinking about giving up. Just remember that. Okay? And now, leading into my second tip to encourage yourself, and it's something you can use in your content as well, is avoiding comparison. And I have found an amazing way to help yourself get yourself out of the comparison trap. Whenever you catch yourself scrolling, wishing for someone else's life, wishing for someone else's business, remember you do not know their reality. You only know yours. Ta-da! Isn't that so obvious? But it's the most obvious things that we need reminders for because we forget, right? And sometimes purposefully put it aside just so we can pout. And hey, it's okay. It's okay to have those moments and pout and allow yourself to feel those emotions, but don't stay there. Pull yourself out. And sometimes we need a little extra help pulling ourselves out. And that's why I'm here. So before you fall into the temptation of comparing yourself with someone else's perceived success and happy life, consider this. It's really like comparing apples to oranges. Like literally it is. Because you do not know what their reality is. And even if you did, it's 100% different from yours. And this is something that really helps me keep myself in check. So I made my little list here. That's an exercise for you to do, and you can even use that as a piece of content yourself. I have triplets. Boom. That makes me different right away. And it makes my reality like 100% different. So whenever I'm low down, and this is something that, my mentors have done. Hey, Marta, you have triplets. Stop. Stop feeling bad about yourself. Look at all that you've done, even though you have little kids and you've started, this endeavor of starting a business. Like that right there, just makes the whole world of a difference. I started my business when my babies were 9 months old. Boom. Okay? So it's been a journey. It's been a journey of growth. Remind yourself of that, Marta. So what can you remind yourself of to be like, yeah, that's right. I'm on track. I'm doing amazing things. My career path has not been in sales or marketing. So it's okay that I don't know everything. Okay? And the same goes for you. I'm originally from Brazil. The people you're comparing yourself to, are they from Brazil? Have they gone back and forth countries and had, this life experience? No. So that makes you different too. Me talking to myself, that is. So what are some of the things that make you unique? That right there, boom, helps you see that you're different. That it's a waste of time trying to be like somebody else or comparing yourself or somebody else. So the list goes on. So again, when you catch yourself scrolling, wishing for those people's lives and business, remember, you're different. It's apples to oranges. Stop. And instead, give yourself lots of grace and a pat on the back. And ask yourself, how far have I come in spite of it all? How far have you come in spite of it all? And then when I posted this, I had huge response as well. And somebody said, at this point, the fact that I'm still alive and my family's alive is a huge accomplishment. This is what this type of content elicits. Oh my gosh, yeah. We're alive. We're still here. That's an accomplishment itself. I don't have to compare with anybody else. So these are my 2 tips for you, my friend, today. If you were feeling discouraged, if this week has been tough on you, hey, we all have those weeks, but your reaction is your choice, right? What you do with it is your choice. So my first step here to overcome these hard feelings is give yourself permission to be proud of yourself, regardless of where you are. And the second one is make a list of what makes you different and why your reality is different and why comparing yourself to somebody else is like comparing apples to oranges. So do this for you. And then I want to see you doing this on your content. And if you do it, tag me. I want to see it and I want to share it and I want to cheer you on. Because that's another thing too. I have been loving lifting women up and lifting other entrepreneurs up. It's so crazy to see the reaction. People get so flattered when I shout them out, when I talk about them. Do you do that with your people? It's an amazing way of practicing everything that we're talking about here, the gratitude, the abundance mindset. Lift other women up, and you will see. It'll all come back around to you. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope this was helpful. Let me know. Are you feeling a little bit more encouraged than you were in the beginning of this episode? Shoot me a quick message on social media. Send me an email, marchasquirk@gmail.com. Whatever. Send me a pigeon. Send me something. Let me know if you're being helped by this content. And I want to see you try this out on your social media and then tag me and share it with me. And again, if you're looking for support, for community, join us in the Empowered Woman School. It's $37 a month. Really very low risk. And try it out for a month. If it's not for you, you get the refund in the first 30 days. So really, it's just this amazing space where you can feel like you're in the right spot. Really, feel like you belong in everything that I talked about here on the episode. So until next time, bye.